What's happening, guys? Silent Mike checking in. Another training day. A little bit of squat, a little bit of bench on deck. I spent a good while doing an explanation video, but my boy Connor, who edits all of these videos for me to share with you guys, said that my explanation sucked. I don't know if that meant the audio sucked or my actual explanation sucked. So we're going to try to do a little bit better in this voiceover. Give me a thumbs up for learning. So what I was talking about, what I want to try to explain is kind of elbow torque. Pulling your elbows in and under you, kind of towards your hips, which is something we're going to do in all three lifts. Basically, why we're doing this, dang, I feel explosive. Basically, why we're doing this is to control our shoulder socket, which is a very mobile joint, and to also flex our lat. In the squat, we're trying to flex our lat as hard as we can so it can help maintain a neutral spine, a tight midline. The more rigid that midline is, kind of the shoulder to hip area, the more we can transfer the power from our feet into the ground, flexing our legs into the bar. If your midline is not rigid or tight, everyone screams out tight, 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 big breath, all these things, but what does that really mean, or why are we doing it? We just want that kind of square from our shoulders to our hips tight and immovable, so then we could press into the ground hard, transferring that power into the bar. And so the two ways we can do that are flexing our lats, which is elbows under and together, under the bar and together. Obviously, some people will have elbows pointing a little bit more backwards, but that's only, in my opinion, okay is if you don't have a big enough back where the bar can rest on your rear delts, in which case you kind of have to make rear delts by shoving your elbows backwards. This same motion, kind of bending the bar, is going to be applicable in both the deadlift and the bench for the same reason, just done in slightly different ways. Controlling that shoulder joint, controlling our lats in the deadlift and squat are more similar because we're trying to flex around that spine. The lats are super long. Obviously, insertions are genetic and all this, but basically it goes from, it controls our entire shoulder all the way down to our hips. So being able to flex those tight, and what I think about in the squat is pulling the bar over me, kind of like a behind the neck lat pull down. On top of that, I think about bending the bar forward, so pulling my pinkies together. So I'm thinking down and pinkies together, which will force my elbows. And sometimes if you do this too much, too tight, or too often, you do get some elbow tendonitis. But that's what I'm thinking, to flex those lats and hopefully keep my body upright during the squat. In the bench, it's going to be very similar. On the setup, I'm thinking shoulders down and back, but on the unrack, I'm thinking elbows together, pinkies together, bending that bar towards my feet as on the way down. And on the way up, I'm going to be spreading it just a little bit to get a little bit of elbow flare, which is actually another video that I just filmed, which I'll be sharing with you guys soon. But in the bench, it may be more important to keep those shoulder joints intact. Same motion of the elbow, same motion of bending the bar. Before the bench, what we want is we don't want a loose shoulder. One, it's going to be not as stable, and if you're not as stable with your upper body when you're trying to do an upper body movement, hopefully you guys get 1 + 1 is 2, and we're not going to be able to press the most amount of weight. But number two, the more stable we can make that shoulder joint, the more we can kind of disperse the work from our pecs, shoulders, and triceps, and the less likely we are for that front delt or the shoulder to take the brunt force of benching. And that's kind of the entire reason that we have a little bit of an arch, a sternum up, shoulders underneath us, is to control that shoulder, that mobile joint, and then it continue the tightness in our shoulder by flexing down. Right here's a good view. If you imagine my pinkies bending the bar, trying to touch my pinkies together in front of me. So I don't want to necessarily pull the bar or touch it too low, but I'm pulling the bar straight into me like a row, while I'm in my head, I'm bending that bar, pulling my pinkies together, and that keeps my shoulder joint in place and also the elbows underneath and in front of the bar. That is the same as with the squat. I'm pulling not only down to flex my lats, but together to bend that bar. And in the deadlift, maybe the cue is even a little easier. Is imagine your arms being straight, and now you can't bend them. I'm grabbing that bar, causing torque, and I'm pulling my elbows into my hips and having my elbows point back towards the wall behind me, as well as bending that bar around my legs. In the deadlift, again, that'll keep our lats tight, which will keep our midline rigid, and it will also keep that bar close to our body. Every inch the bar starts to get away from your body on the deadlift, the more it will weigh and the harder it will be to hit a PR. Just hopefully a little cue that's helped me with all 3 lifts. Hopefully that helps you guys. Again, give it a like, give it a subscribe if that helps you guys. On to my goals. For those that don't know, I'm still on a cut. I am dieting. My heaviest weight was 234 pounds, kind of last fall, last summer. I've been slowly cutting with a few breaks due to sickness, travel, and just mental lapses. But I am average week weight right now is 216 pounds. So, you could do the math. I've dropped a good amount. I'm feeling a bit leaner. I'm in a pretty aggressive calorie deficit right now. And that's just because that's what my body needs to lose weight. It's just my genetics. It's just how it goes. I showed you guys a full day of eating by request because a lot of you guys are asking what I eat when I diet. Showed you guys, and yes, my calories are fairly low. I do not recommend you follow my macronutrients as my body is just a little bit stubborn with the fat right now. So gonna push through that, adding in cardio 2 or 3 times a week, doing some sprints. I'm heading to LA, so I'm excited to take advantage of the turf at Barbell Brigade, doing some sprints on the sleds, keeping my training volume high. I'm training 5 to 6 times a week, even if it's just a little fluff and puff, even if I just go in and get a bicep curl before my sprints, a bicep pump. It's keeping me mentally in the game and driven. Please subscribe, follow along. More traveling on the way, vlogs on the way, plus diet updates and more informational videos. Appreciate you guys. I'm out of here.